Speaking of which, all right, you know what's coming now.
Yeah, I know what's
there
coming.
There were lots of newspaper stories recently about you saying there's a 99% chance of Labour forming the next government. It was widely covered, and I sat there wondering, I wonder where that comes from. Where did that come from?
Well, I should say, first of all, it's not the first time I'd said it in the public domain. Indeed, I had said it on one or two broadcasts I've done. Mm-hmm. But the answer is this. I was giving an academic lecture at the Political Studies Association annual conference. Political Studies Association is the principal professional organisation for political scientists in the UK. It happened to be taking place in my university, so I and Elsa Anderson from the University of Edinburgh were being asked to do a joint keynote. And somewhere along in the Q&A, if you think academics just ask theoretical questions, forget it. I mean, the questions were again all about what's going to happen and what do you think about this or that or whatever. And somewhere along the way, I kind of said, well, look, there's basically a 99% chance that the Labour Party will form the next administration. Now, of course, the trouble is these days, and this goes back to academics, obviously somebody decided to put it on Twitter. I don't know who, I haven't bothered to go through the trail. But yes, indeed, and I was then going off to dinner, and by the time I was walking off to dinner, my phone was buzzing with 2 or 3 people, and they were saying, well, why are you saying that, blah, blah, blah. And of course, 1 or 2 people were beginning to misinterpret, because what I very, very carefully said was not that there was a 99% chance of Labour winning the election. It was that there was a 99% of Labour forming the next government. And those 2 things are not the same thing. Because essentially what I was putting together is 2 things. One is, so take where the polls are at the moment, okay? 19-point Labour lead. What is the biggest narrowing of the lead in the polls from 8 months out before polling day and polling day? The 8 months, the narrowing in the polls, by the way, the end point is not what the election result was. The end point is what were the polls saying. And the biggest reversal in a full-length parliament, you have to do it in a full-length parliament because otherwise the Prime Minister has chosen the date and therefore, that confounds things. So the answer to that is 2010. The Conservatives' lead over Labour narrowed by 6 points from 8 months out before 2010 and polling day. Right? Yeah. So let's take 6 points off the Labour lead. Now let's also add to that. So we're already taking one extreme, right? Now let's also add the biggest mess up in the polling industry, which is 1992, when they overestimated Labour's position vis-à-vis Conservatives by 9%. That still gets us a 4-point Labour lead. Then comes the crucial point, which is a 4-point Labour lead, well, almost undoubtedly hung Parliament territory, but hung Parliament territory that is probably the Tories blow about 315. And then you have to remember the Conservatives are very short of friends inside the House of Commons. We know the Liberal Democrats will not vote for a Conservative King's Speech. We know the SNP will not vote for a Conservative King's Speech. Maybe the DUP will, but whether or not they'll be able to do a deal in current circumstances, etc., who knows? So the point is, it's an asymmetric contest. Unless the Conservatives are at or very close to 326, they will not form the next government. And that's how you get to... So you take an extreme narrowing of the lead, an extreme polling error, and then take into account the parliamentary politics, you still don't get to a situation where the Conservatives form the next government.
So what you're saying is someone leaked it, but you were absolutely right anyway.
No, I mean, history is always there to be, historical records are always there to be broken. But the point is, you're going to have to break at least one or other of 2 quite significant historical records in order to get to a point where maybe the Conservatives might be able to sustain administration.
Okay, I'm going to do...
by the way, this is partly the legacy of Brexit. Why the Liberal Democrats won't maintain a minority Conservative administration because of Brexit. The SNP will not vote for... So the point is, it's fine for the Tories to have corralled the Leave vote all behind them in 2019. That was their great victory card, but it's also their weakness in terms of parliamentary politics.